And we are back here on Jesuit Ranger Sports Network. Top of the third with the Rangers up 3-0. As there's a pop fly heading over the direction of first. And that will be caught easily for the first out of the inning, right off the bat. Now stepping up to the plate is Callan Singhania, the right fielder. He's got a double. His name so far. That pitch is in the zone for strike one.
And Singhania 1 for 1 with a double and a walk so far.
And a pickoff attempt here, but nothing's going on. Wind up and the pitch. And that one a high fly ball. That's going to be a pop fly right there. And the catch is made right there for the second out for the Fossil Ridge Panthers. Johnson keeping a close eye at Fultz on first. Singhania showing bunt stance again. And I'll throw it back to first. But Fultz will get back safely as nothing's going on. Johnson the pitch. Little roller, and this will be 2 if they can get it in. And the throw is in time, and that'll be 2 for the Panthers. And the first 2 outs of the inning for the Rangers. Johnson, the windup, the 0-2 pitch to Story. And a swing and a miss, and Story goes down swinging. And that will be the end of the 5th inning as the score remains 3-2 in favor of the Waco Midway Panthers. That one in nearly the exact same location, ball 2. 2-0 the count.
Okamoto, did ground out to shortstop in his last at-bat. He's going to look to kind of bounce back here.
That one outside again as the catcher has to reach out and get his glove on it for ball 3. 3-0 the count here to Okamoto. That one kind of falls into the center of the zone. Good pitch right there. Count moves to 3-1. Okamoto gets his bat on it a little bit, but the count will move to 3-2 as it works back to a full count. The 3 as Pierce strikes right back. And an early timeout here.
Jesuits defense has struggled when teams can connect from the 3. I think if J.J. Pierce if they can do that all night, it might give the Rangers a little bit of trouble. Look to see if Coach Hill makes any adjustments towards that.
You'd hope that early 3 is not a foreseer or a future of the things to come. Hopefully Jesuit can lock up their perimeter defense from out there. But
yeah,
it's still early. It's still early. They've got time. Don't panic just yet. As Sherwood inbounds. Gibbons will take it up as the Pierce student section really getting into it. Costas to Gibbons now. Gibbons tried to get it to McCormick around the backside, but he gets to Costas instead, and the shot rims out. What an unlucky bounce for Grant Costas.
That's a killer. That was in and out. That rolled all around the basket.
That really hurt for Costas. Ballo will inbound.
If I'm a fan, I'm watching number 0 move around the court. He's the guy who's going to shoot this ball.
4.9 to go. Gavin Green. 1 second. Ballo for the tie. It's good! And we are going to overtime. Pandemonium on the Pierce side. What a shot by Dean Ballo to send it into OT. Side puts up an early 3, and it rims out. Rebound taken in. That is Gibbons, and he'll take off.
Well, it was a good look that time, but just couldn't convert on the shot.
Here's Scher now. Kicks it out. That now down low to Costas. Costas to McCormick in the corner. Way over to Schur. Schur looking for something. He kicks to Gibbons. Gibbons going to reset now. Screened by Costas. Gibbons behind the back move. He'll kick it out. Johnson will take a three and hits!
With a man in his face, Ben Johnson, what a shot.
He starts out 1 for 1. Brilliant shot by Johnson as here comes Geyer looking to answer back.
It's Lowry up top.
You gotta do your best to neutralize Lindsay in these last few minutes.
As Lindsay,
And that's a good example of it right there.
As Ryan McCormick, as I said earlier, playing some great defense on Kyle Lindsay.
Now you just got to get some good shots, some smart shots. It doesn't necessarily have to be all threes. You just got to work the ball around and get the best shot possible in these last 5.5 minutes or so.
What a second half this should be. As McCormick and Schur will take the open three and hit Sky Schur. Sprays it home from downtown.
That was a very good start there from Schur.
Just what the Rangers needed to open up, as here's Kason Wallace for the Eagles. Wallace has 12 and a nice pass inside to Timmy Jordan for the Buckets. As Wallace has 12 points, he is 3 for 6 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3 in that first half. Still the leading scorer despite the fact he shot 50% from the field, albeit 50% is not a bad percentage. Wallace puts up a three, no good. Another miss by Wallace. And here's Gibbons. A 4-point gap. Gibbons to the rim, shot blocked, but he got his own rebound. Mansour in the corner now. Mansour to Schur. Schur steps into it. It's good! Sky Schur! Sprays it home from downtown.
One of the best pure shooters on this team, Sky Schur, knocks down a huge three.
What a shot by Schur. And that one will look to be the shot in the arm the Rangers need. And here are the Eagles trying to respond. Here's Wallace. Nice pass to Howell, who will put it in. And it's back to a 3-point lead. Really nice pass by Kason Wallace right there. One of the reasons he's one of the top 10 players in the country.
One of the many.
Schur working on Griffin. Gibbons will corral it. Nice. Mansour takes a three. Won't go. McCormick keeps it alive. What an effort on the offensive glass. But he did some trouble when he threw it right into the hands of Rylan Griffin, who jumped ahead of Schur to pick it off.
I don't think it definitely should not rag on TCU at all. They had a fantastic season, and I think they're obviously probably not going to go 12-1 again next season, but I think they're going to be good, and especially in a revamped, reworked Big 12. Let's talk about the World Cup. Ooh. Yes, let's talk about the World Cup a little bit. So, the World Cup. So we are now down to 8 teams remaining. Yep. Right? Yes. Okay, good.
It's in the quarterfinals.
In the quarterfinals, yes. So tomorrow, Friday, December 9th, is when the quarterfinals begin. I'm going to look at the first game that's popping up. Thank you, Microsoft Bing. Hello. The first game is popping up at 10 a.m. on Fox. Croatia against Brazil. So, Croatia and Brazil, Croatia has managed to get out of their group, which is something that I honestly did not really think would happen, based on what I had heard and what kind of you and your soccer friends, if you will. I don't really know how to phrase that other than that. Have been saying, but Croatia I think this is a situation for Croatia. They've just run into a better team, and I think they're going to get smacked.
I agree. Brazil has been fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone can argue that.
Brazil is one of the favorites to win.
Brazil is, I'd say, the favorite. I think it's far and beyond the best team in this tournament. They played with so much pizzazz. They played with so much style. They've backed it up with energy, excitement. They're playing for each other, and they're just a very, very, very impressive team. They just handled South Korea, and I mean absolutely manhandled South Korea.
Yeah.
South Korea, they beat 4-1.
4-1.
That game, I was watching that game, got back to my dorm, turned it on. I mean, it was just pure dominance. Just every time you looked at the screen, it was Brazil attacking, Brazil attacking, Brazil attacking. South Korea hardly stood a chance until the second half.
They were playing pretty aggressive, particularly against Korea.
For sure, and that's a Korean team that's a good team. That's not a bad
they're
team.
not a bad team.
No. This Croatian team is good. I'm not going to deny it. I think they've gotten to this point, and it's been pretty clear that they had 2 draws in the group stage.
Yeah.
They defeated Canada, who's not a great team in Canada. They kind of snuck in because they got lucky being in North America. Canada sneaks in.
Yeah.
They beat Canada 4-1. And then again tied with Japan, and then it went to shootouts to advance to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
I think this is a team that relies on that's predicated on its defense, predicated on making sure the other team doesn't score.
Yeah.
And I think Brazil's just got too much firepower to stop that from happening. I think Brazil's going to easily walk out, probably 3-0.
Mm-hmm. And like for Brazil, they've been really, I think, more or less dominant the whole stretch. Yeah, the loss against Cameroon was kind of a hiccup.
Yeah.
But they've probably moved past that now.
It's a hiccup. They had already secured their spot.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
there wasn't a
much
ton
to
to play for.
For sure.
In that game. So our prediction is that Brazil comes out with the W. So, and then the next game, the 2 p.m. game. This is arguably more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The Netherlands against Argentina. So the Netherlands, the thing we know about the Netherlands is that they are coming off, I think their last game was the win over the U.S.?
Yes,
correct?
It was.
Yes. Their last game was the 3-1 win over the United States, eliminating us from the tournament. So, 2-1-0 for the Netherlands, and Argentina, on the other hand, they are 2-0-1. They, coming off, win over Poland, win over Mexico, losing to Saudi Arabia back in the group stage, but it was a very nice rebound with those wins over Mexico and Poland. So, this is interesting. I don't really know. I'm not sure who wins this.
I think this is going to be a closer game than Brazil for sure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this is going to come down to the defense of the Netherlands and the defense of Argentina.
I think the Netherlands defense played pretty well.
So the Netherlands
against
the US was pretty much fantastic. And the Netherlands, their game plan is predicated on a counterattack, right? Making sure that they're going to stay back. They're not going to press up. They're going to stay back the extra time. And then if you make a mistake, they're going to capitalize on it. You saw it with the U.S.
Yeah,
I think in that first half,
the U.S. made a lot of mistakes.
The U.S. made some mistakes. They were playing pretty solid through the first half, a lot of possession of the ball. They make one mistake, Netherlands scores. End of the first half, U.S. again. Constant pressure. They make one mistake, Netherlands capitalizes, Netherlands scores. Another part of that game was that the U.S. had, and it showed through the rest of the whole tournament, the inability to actually cross into the box and make anything happen in that front half.
Yeah.
So I think
that was a running theme throughout the tournament.
For sure, and I think that's a big difference with this Argentinian team.
Yeah.
See, the Argentina has a good attack, and it's predicated through Messi. It's facilitated. Messi's the facilitator. Messi's,
I would say, the best player in the world right now.
Yes. So Messi, he's shown it time and time again. Obviously, this is not prime Messi. He's getting up there in age, but he's still a fantastic player.
Yeah.
I think this attack of Argentina is far and beyond better than the U.S. And if Messi and this Argentinian strikers and the midfielders can get up into the box and capitalize and be able to cross, I think we could see a high-scoring game. And I think if Argentina can do enough on defense to recover, make sure they get back and stop that Netherlands counterattack, we could see maybe a 3-1, 3-2 game. I think Argentina will come out on top. But it's going to come down to making sure you limit mistakes and capitalize when you're able to cross.
Me personally, I think Argentina is the slightly better team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be very close, but I think Argentina will, like you said, I think
they are favored slightly. They are favored slightly
with a win in what will probably be a pretty high-scoring game
for sure.
So let's go to Saturday, December 10th. This is where it. I think it gets maybe a little more interesting. I think the biggest game of the quarterfinals is on this day.
Yes.
But first, we're not going to get there yet. We're going to start with Morocco and Portugal. And Morocco. So looking at Morocco, they've been the classic underdog story. I don't think really anybody thought they were going to make it out of their group.
They were not.
I don't think.
Not necessarily supposed.
And
to
now
make
look
it
at them. They're in the group of 8, but the problem is kind of like how we described the Croatia-Brazil game. They have now run into a really good Portugal team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, Quinn. I don't think this is going to end very well for Morocco.
You look at Morocco, they pretty much have the entire world aside from South America and Europe on their side.
Yep.
as someone living in North America, obviously we're in the U.S. Everyone here, basically United States fans, are just like, yeah, go Morocco, Morocco, represent basically the rest of us, because it's always South America, it's always Europe in these tournaments. So I think you see a lot of like Asian fans, African fans, North American fans always supporting for whichever team is not in Europe and South America, and I think that's what we see here for Morocco. The underdog story of the tournament so far, I'd say. Obviously, if you've looked at all of these teams in the quarterfinals, that's probably one of the only teams you'd say, I don't expect them to be there. So seeing Morocco here, very similar to Croatia, I'd say. They're predicated on defense. They've had 2 draws, both 0-0. Their win to get into the quarterfinals was against Spain, went to penalties.
Yes,
that was to draw that out. A very exciting game. I think Portugal's attack is better than Spain's. Spain had a lot of missed opportunities. They had opportunities, but they weren't able to capitalize on them.
I don't think Spain played like Spain is capable of playing in that game.
I think if Portugal gets 1 goal, and just 1 goal, that throws Morocco off, because their game plan entirely has to shift to being an offensive-minded team, which they have not shown they can really do in this tournament. They get 1 goal, it makes Morocco have to be aggressive, it lowers their defense. That opens up for 2 goals, 3 goals. I think if Portugal scores more than a goal, if Portugal even scores a goal, I think Portugal gets this lockdown. I think for Morocco, the game plan would be go for penalties, go for an extra time where you get 1 chance, which you necessarily don't want as your game plan, but as a team...
That's not a very sound game plan, but it might be what you might have to go to against a team like Portugal.
I think that what's interesting for this game wouldn't necessarily be the competitiveness of the game itself, but more so the relationship between Portugal and Ronaldo. Ronaldo was benched in the last game, not for an injury, more so because of his attitude in the final game of the group stage. He was a bit upset being subbed off at the end, has faced a lot of flack for he played quite poorly in that last group game, was the lowest rated player on the pitch. So a lot of people have been, giving him a lot of stuff for necessarily not living up to expectations.
He has not played like he's capable of playing in this tournament.
Yeah, I think he's still capable of being a great player. Obviously, he's not going to be the guy because he's older, he's getting up there in age. I don't think he continued to be the player he was for Real Madrid. A lot going on, obviously, with Man U, but that's
where did he end up?
Story.
Where did he end up signing? I know he's not with Man U.
I'm not sure. I know there were rumors of MLS. There were rumors of, I think, some Middle Eastern league. I'm not sure.
Something like that. I heard something about some Middle Eastern team.
But we will see, I guess, if Portugal... I would assume Ronaldo's going to get the start for this game, but it'll be interesting to see how he plays, if he's able to play up to the level that I think he's capable of still playing.
So, going to the next quarterfinal game on December the 10th. This, in my opinion, is the most interesting game of the weekend. England against France. I think this could possibly be anybody's game. I think France is favored to win, and I think, to be honest, I think France is going to win, but it would not surprise me whatsoever if England was able to pull off can we even call it an upset? But who takes this one? France, France, of course, is favored, and are they probably now the favorite to win the tournament at this point?
I would say Brazil's still the favorite. I think they're the favorite from the lower half of the bracket to get up to the finals. I think.
Yes.
If you had to pick right now, I think a majority of people would say France, Brazil.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at this game, you've mentioned I think it could go either way, and I agree with that. I think it could go either way. I've debated a lot going with France, going with England here for my pick. I think this game, it's going to come down to star power. I think both of these teams are very solid. I think they have a lot of depth on them. You look at England, they got guys like Grealish, they got guys like Foden coming off the bench, guys who can play at a high level, Premier League players, Premier League starters, Premier League stars coming off the bench for you. They're both very solid teams. I think what it comes down to is, what is your best player going to do? For England, I don't know if they've necessarily had a standout guy. Obviously, you have Saka, who has scored a lot of goals in prior tournaments, not necessarily scored too many here. I think Bale has probably been your best player of your England. Sorry, not Bale. I apologize.
Bale. Question mark?
Not Bale. Harry Kane. Harry
Kane.
I think Harry Kane's been England's best player here.
I would agree with that.
Harry Kane's been fantastic with his passing, his assists, his play. But I think the best player in this tournament is Mbappe. I think right now Mbappe's in a league of his own right now, and I think Mbappe's
been playing really well.
Mbappe's been incredible, and I think Mbappe's going to come out. I think he puts up 2 goals against England, and I think France comes out with the win.
I think I agree with that. I think France is going to come out. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than people might think.
Yeah.
England is like it's funny because they don't really have a superstar that can kind of like I guess like take over the game.
I guess I would agree with that. Yeah.
They can't. They don't really have that. France has that.
Mhm.
And yes, Mbappe, and he's been playing out of his mind throughout the entire tournament, and he had really great games leading up to the World Cup. But I don't know. I think France's star power is going to eventually assert themselves over England because England is kind of like they have a fantastic team, but they don't have
They don't have
one.
that
They don't
guy.
have that guy. They don't
Yeah.
have that go-to guy. Or I'm kind of talking, and I'll use a basketball analogy. They don't have that go-to guy you can just like a go-to scorer, I guess, if you will. Like in basketball, I know soccer it's different because there's not as much scoring and like goals are
But yeah,
harder to come by.
I think Mbappe can make things happen by himself.
Yes, but
I
you see my point.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about college football. And do we have a lot to talk about? I see your expression tightening a little bit. And the first thing I'm going to bring up is how about those Ohio State Buckeyes, Quinn? How about those Ohio State Buckeyes taking a thrashing against Michigan for the second year in a row, I might add. The second year in a row that has now knocked them down 3 spots and out of the current college football playoff rankings. TCU, fresh off their undefeated season after beating the brakes off of Iowa State. They're now at the number 3 spot. And number 4, the newcomer USC Trojans out of the Pac-12, led by Heisman candidate and possible now favorite, maybe? Caleb Williams? I don't really know.
I think I would agree.
So now this is interesting. So Stroud was my Heisman pick going into the year, but now Caleb Williams has overtaken him kind of in these last 2 to 3 weeks of the season, which is very interesting because you don't see that happen very often, I don't think. And so it's going to be a very interesting end to this Heisman race, but a very interesting championship week. So first I want to look at the Pac-12 title game, which is Utah at USC. Now on Friday, yes. Now Utah, 9-3. So they've had a pretty good season, but they are 7-2 in conference play, 6-0 at home. That's interesting to know. But the problem for this one is they're not gonna exactly be at home. They're 3-3, 500 on the road. So I think that for Utah, it is similar somewhat to the Rutgers IU thing we talked about. I mean, I think Utah's a good team. I think they're going to make a pretty good bowl game. I don't think they're close. I don't really think they're on USC's level in terms of talent and skill and just overall, how good they are. I think USC's favored to win, and rightfully so. I think Caleb Williams is going to have another good game. I think, keep in mind, USC, correct me if I'm wrong, their one loss came against the Utes, correct?
Against Utah by 1 point.
1 point. Was it 43 to 42?
43 to 42.
43 to 42.
On a 2-point conversion to end the game. Do you think TCU has enough room to lose here? Do you think if TCU loses to Kansas State, keep in mind Kansas State lost to TCU early in the year, if TCU goes out and loses Kansas State, do you think there's a chance TCU drops out, or do you think TCU is a lock regardless as well?
I do not think TCU is a lock. I'll tell you that. I don't think TCU is a lock because, I think they've gotten the narrative going around for TCU is they've gotten really lucky, and that 12-0 season has had like the most luck imaginable. I think there's a little bit of that involved, but I don't think we can deny TCU's talent. I think they're a really good football team. That being said, if they lose to Kansas State, which could very well happen because Kansas State is a really good team, if they lose to Kansas State, I think that it now turns into let's say USC beats Utah and TCU loses to Kansas State. I think the playoff now turns into Georgia, Michigan, USC, Ohio State. That's what I think it turns into.